Greetings, YouTubers. It's Martyn here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily. Brand new month, Saturday, 1st of December. And it's a Saturday special. Not an interview as such today, but our first ever listener takeover. It's something that I want to do more of. And we talk to the people behind the stories of EVs. If you're an EV owner, maybe you could be on the podcast one day in the future on our next listener takeover. Right, very quickly, first two important messages. I want to say thank you to the new podcast producer of the show, Scott Simmons. Scott signed up earlier today at the posh coffee level, $5 a month at patreon.com/evnewsdaily. Thank you, Scott. Thank you very much for helping fund this show. And thank you as well to myev.com. They do help me make this podcast. The team at myev.com are very busy right now building out the world's first marketplace for buying and selling and learning about electric vehicles. So whether you're in the market for buying or selling or just equipping yourself with some extra knowledge in the rather excellent help sections they have, check out myev.com. So yeah, welcome to a listener takeover. You're going to meet Brian and Shari today. They're both executive producers of the show on Patreon, and their generosity means you get the show for free. They're both Tesla owners. Brian is a Model S. Shari is a Model 3. But she's had hers a very long time. I talked to them both today about their trip to London. They'd literally just landed from LA, or from California, and an hour and a half cab ride into Soho in the middle of London, EV News Daily Studios, where we sat down and had a good old chinwag. I asked them why they've got two Teslas in the family, what it's like not just being a day one Model 3 reservation holder, but a minute one reservation holder for the Model 3. What it's like having a car for a year now. And Brian recently toured the Tesla Gigafactory, so I picked his brains on why the parking lot of his local delivery centre was empty. Hopefully this is the first of many listener takeovers in future weeks and months. After all, if I can feature you on the podcast, you are the reason that we're moving towards a sustainable future. Whether you own an EV now or whether you're just EV curious, it's not me, it's not YouTube influencers, it's not Elon Musk who's going to save the planet. It's you and every single person making micro decisions to change the way they live. So hopefully maybe one day we'll see you on a future episode. Let's get into it. Brian and Shari were welcomed onto the podcast. First of all, Brian and Shari, welcome to London.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here at EV News Daily headquarters today. You flew in earlier today into Heathrow in London. Where have you flown in from?
We hail from La Cañada, California. It's for those of you who ever see an event at the Rose Bowl, we're 3 miles northwest of the Rose Bowl.
We know each other because, well, you kindly support the podcast. You're one of our executive producers.
I'm proud to be an executive producer of this show, supporting this pioneer, this soldier in the fight against fossils.
And we're winning. And we're winning. And you are both Tesla drivers, right? But Shari, you are the vanguard of driving Model 3.
Today's the 28th, right?
Yeah.
I've had it for exactly 11 months today.
Wow, that's right.
And how many miles have you done?
Oh, I'm not even sure.
You just turned over $9,000.
And Brian, do you get to drive the Model 3 very much, or is that...
I honestly am hesitant to drive it because Shari keeps it so clean. The Model S is a 2013, and, you know, I admit it gets dirty sometimes.
You were day one reservation holder, right?
We were.
Day one, first hour.
Tell me about that day.
I think we had debated about it, and then I said, you know, the fact that it was returnable, no hesitation. Get in there, get in the queue. And, actually, I've got pictures. I went to the Tesla dealership in Burbank, and the line was down the block. And they said that the Model S, we already had a Model S, so we could then reserve online, but not till 8 o'clock that night. So at 8:01, I think we got the reservation in.
What was the wait like?
We had the S, so we weren't like chomping at the bit. We got to have this car. We got to have this car. My theory on the wait was that the longer they took to put it out, the better shape the car would be in.
Well, I was a little more eager. I had a Volt as sort of a starter car, and it was kind of a game to see if I could get home all the way on the charge. I'd usually make it within about a half a mile of home, and then the gas would kick in.
How long was that in miles for the Volt? Because we don't get the Volt here.
Oh, I believe the range was about 38 miles. If the weather was hot, I could make it all the way home.
and recently cancelled. So this is this week's news. This is hot off the press news. So,
no more Volt.
No, cancelled. The last one will be built in March next year and cancelled. So, which but again, it never made its way over here. So we never I forget to talk about the Volt, but right, it's a popular car.
Well, my friends who are single car owners, I tell them the Volt is the way to go, especially used now, because I think, like us, most people are going to have the experience that 38-mile range in the earlier ones, it's a greater range into the 40s for the second, that on the computer, you're going to find out that you drove 98% of your miles all electric. Shari, how often did you put gas in that car?
9 times in 2 years.
I love it. 9 times. You can count it on 2 hands. Yes. That's how many times you put gas in. And then pickup day for the Model 3. What was that like? Because it was 11 months ago.
It was exciting. We were obviously one of the first people to get it, and they really rolled out the red carpet for us. They took us to the car and showed us how everything worked on it.
We shot video of it, and we put it on YouTube, Martyn. It's called Our Journey to the Model 3. In 2 weeks, it got like 40,000 views because it was one of the first ones. And then in the subsequent year, it's got like 3 views.
That's the way it goes. Everyone's eager.
And we were patient because we knew that so many new hires to deliver the Model 3. It wasn't like there was a legion of employees who knew Tesla and could be there to tell you all the features. The guy was pretty good. He was pretty solid on the features of the Model 3 when he told it to us, and it was filled with cars. It was filled with Teslas. So it was a beautiful. I think Mr. Musk knows his theater, and you have the lobby, you have the mission statement on the wall. And then you walk through the doors, and there's all these beautiful, pristine, dustless, mostly Model 3s. There was a few S's and X's in there as well, but there must have been on that floor in that warehouse 30 waiting for the owners to come and claim them.
That's so cool. And as a 2 Tesla family, I mean, you've only been in the UK mere hours before we dragged you into the studio here. But the Model 3 makes a lot of sense for us. And when we come to the US, and we had a few California visits and hired a car, and it is, the roads, everything is different. Everything's bigger for a start. But certainly here in the UK, where I've lived in several houses that are terraced, like Victorian houses built 100 years ago. They were built before the motor car. So they were built for getting a horse cart down the middle of the road to empty the outdoor toilet. And that was about it. Do you know what I mean? So the Model 3 makes a lot of sense for us. What's it been like for you having both the bigger and the smaller Tesla? Are there different use cases that you pick the car for in different or not? Am I making any sense?
That's absolutely true. Because the S has more of a hatchback, it's like you could put a piano in the back. So I noticed the trunk, it still has a lot of utility, and you can fold the back seats down completely, but you can't get something quite as gigantic in the back of the 3.
Okay. The storage in the Model S is phenomenal. I'm one of those people that throws an air mattress back there and sleeps at superchargers on long hauls, because you've got 7 feet of flat diagonal space behind the front seats in the back of a Model S. And then as far as use with the Model 3, if I know that I'm going to have traffic because it has the autopilot, I'll say, Shari, can I please take your Model 3? I'm going to be in traffic. And because I thought, I don't need autopilot. Who needs? I like driving, especially driving electric cars, such a cleaner, easier experience anyway. The first time we were in traffic with autopilot on, I started laughing and seriously wanted the stop-and-go traffic to last longer because the stress was gone. You don't worry about hitting the car in front of you. That is the biggest game changer. Anyone who says that, I don't need autopilot, well, maybe you live in the country and you don't. But if you live in a city and you get the chance to drive in traffic, especially when it's below 30, 40 miles an hour, you really trust it. At the faster speeds, you're still wondering if that guy driving for you has the experience that he needs.
Hey, you brought a present. You brought presents to the UK.
We brought hot from the Marina Del Rey delivery center, because the Tesla centers, unbeknownst to me until yesterday, where I tried to get one at the Tesla deal in Burbank, are no longer selling merchandise at the centers. It's all online. They didn't.
Okay.
I think they wanted to clear the way and keep things speedy for deliveries.
Yeah.
But the delivery center is the last vestige for merchandise in the LA area.
That's right. And that was the other odd thing when we went there. I haven't been back to that delivery center since we picked up the Model 3.
Right.
And it was completely different this time because we were the only ones there. And we learned that they're delivering people's Model 3s directly to their house, not having people pick them up there anymore.
All the Model 3s are being delivered personally.
Really? Because we saw that. It made the news over here when it was Elon did it himself the first time, and he talked about it being a test, and he was trying out new ways of delivering the cars, and then that hasn't really been in the news, hasn't crossed over very much over here. So people are having their Model 3s are being taken when they're they're in California, they're going straight to the buyers?
The place was empty except for there was about 30 employees there, and there could have been 50, somewhere between 50 and 100, depending upon how many Model 3s we saw inside and how we're outside. And I asked, I said, well, what, did you not schedule any pickups today? And they said, oh, no. And that's when they explained it's all this concierge service.
Wow. Back to the present, by the way, which has arrived in a beautiful little black bag with Tesla in white writing on it. And inside, there's a T-shirt inside. And, oh, hey, look at this. This is what Elon wears on stage. This is a black T-shirt with the really classy...
Identical to the one Elon wears on stage.
With Tesla in black embroidery on the left breast of it. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing what you do. We worry a little bit about how much time you spend on this in your 2-hour commute. And I have a question for you.
Yes.
From Norm Bulldog in Bandon, Oregon.
Hey, Norm.
Norm got me to watch you. Okay, he said, Brian, you've got to check this guy out. He said, and I'm like, and I hadn't done it the first week, and he scolded me. He was like, and when I finally did, I said, oh, you're right, Norm. Norm is worried about you spending too much time on this show.
It's a lot of work.
Ask you if you would consider doing 6 days a week so you give yourself a day off. He wants you to take a day off. Norm says, tell Martyn he needs a day off because he's doing such a great job. We don't want him to burn out.
Norm, would it be okay if I took Christmas Day off? I'm thinking, I'm wondering what to do for Christmas Day. No, there's gonna be no news on Christmas Day. New Year's Day, there'll be no news. But I'm thinking it'd be nice to do like a little show. So what I'm doing certainly for one of them, and I haven't decided which one. I think maybe New Year's Day, I'm doing a prediction show, which Ryan McCaffrey does with his Ride the Lightning. He makes his own predictions, and he's always freakishly accurate as well with the serious ones that he does. But I think I'm gonna crowdsource opinion over the next couple of weeks. So you are the first guinea pigs of this. Let's talk Giga. Have you both been to Gigafactory?
No, I didn't.
Shari, you missed out.
I was working.
Oh.
Yeah, felt cheated.
So, and you're wearing the Tesla jacket today, so...
That's actually because I forgot to pack my coat.
Oh, no.
And we realized it halfway to the airport, so that's how I ended up this one.
Right, okay. It looks very cool. It looks very cool. And you'll need it because it...
Did you see the back of it?
No. Let's have a look. The back. Oh, and that's got the red embroidery right across the back in big letters as well. That's very cool.
It's sharp.
It is very sharp.
They have a good design team.
So, Brian, you made it to Gigafactory. When was that?
That was about 2 weeks ago.
How was it?
You drive up through the desert. They've built this remarkable 2-lane brand new highway that gets you there from Reno. And, you come over the hill, you see it, it looks pretty big, but it's like one of those things that you keep driving closer to and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then there was one supercharger place left for the Model S at the lobby where they start the tour. And an interesting thing, there was about 100 people in the lobby. I go, oh my God, it's all a big tour. Well, right at the time when the tour is supposed to start, about 75% of them tooled off into this room, and those are just people applying for jobs. They have a special auditorium there where they're hiring that many people all the time that they're orienting people. Now, you hear the numbers, okay? 12,000 employees. You hear that largest building ever built in America. When you're standing there, I was moved just by the sheer enormity of it. Once you're on the floor, the 6-axis robots, they have carts that are fully automated that move the things around independent of people. Not really forklifts. There's something different. And then somewhere in the third room full of 50 people on computers all happily working, I looked at Norm and I looked at the other person with us, and we had teared up. I don't think I'm a member of a cult. That many people around you working happily, all part of the mission. I think that the tearing up was the amount of hope, because this isn't a pipe dream. This thing has legions of people that are making it happen, and it was so hopeful and so invigorating. When Norm and I left there afterwards, we just bubbled about talking about it for the next hour, and then we called it. We were in separate cars. We were calling each other on the phone and talking about, just the sheer emotional impact, how hopeful we were. And I don't think you can feel that unless you're there among those thousands of people in this voluminous, cavernous space that is almost infinite. Infinite hope. Isn't that what we hope we're generating here? Mm-hmm. Because if Elon can make sustainability here on this facet of our culture, he's already moving it into other facets. It's his goal is sustainability. His goal is making this planet a better place, and he's doing it. And when you're there in the middle of it, it inspirational. It's probably the most hopeful I felt in years. Not that I'm a negative person, but an injection of hope isn't that a beautiful thing? I got an inoculation of hope at the Gigafactory.
And that Norm, that's what the podcast is about for me as well. It's really hard work. It's like 4 or 5 hours a day by the time you've edited it and written up the notes and transcribed everything. But it's a hopeful thing to be spending my life on. So it never, for 1 minute, all of this never feels like work, because I'm living my life 7 days a week making this podcast in perpetual hope of amazing good news stories. And then I'll meet someone who doesn't know about EVs, and they'll say, "Oh, they're catching on, aren't they?" And I'd say, "You've got no idea. The floodgates are about to open. It's just going in this huge production ramp at the moment. But then when the German floodgates open, and everyone, and I get why everyone goes in hard on the German, and it's a weird cultural thing. We still have more fondness for the German, even with Dieselgate and with VW. There's still more of a cultural fondness. A lot of my American listeners, they comment, they email, they go, "I can't believe you're not giving them a bigger kicking." I owned a VW during Dieselgate.
We own 2 Volkswagens currently.
Yeah.
And we forgive them.
I'm glad you forgive them.
Well, they did a
lot wrong. They did a lot wrong.
But they're still responsible for making the cutest car in the world, aren't they? You can forgive people that make a car that you want to hug.
Yeah. So hopeful for the future.
And Norway, a little closer to the island here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing happening.
That blew my mind. I went to Norway for the first time 2 months ago, and it was a taste of what you have in California all the time, where it was just EV, EV, EV. Oh, fossil car, EV. And it was nice. We were walking around and just hearing that kind of electric car noise whooshing past us. Thank you for coming in. What brings you? I should ask you, what brings you? I know why you're here, but tell everyone listening on the podcast how they would know you. They perhaps might know you, and what brings you to the UK?
I've been fortunate enough to do a few iconic roles in science fiction, action, adventure. Currently, this trip is the Vampire Ball, which is the 30th, 1st, and 2nd.
And what have people seen you on? What shows have people seen you on?
Oh, if you were watching do you get 911 over here on Fox? I don't know.
Yeah, I imagine we do.
Last Monday, a week from yesterday, I was the antagonistic fire captain who was hazing the young female rookie. And before that, Orville. I was on the Seth MacFarlane Orville. And then some of that more iconic, I was Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat, played the bounty hunter on the X-Files, beat up Jean-Claude Van Damme a couple times, took a few swings at Stallone in the movie Cobra.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's what brings you over here. And it was a pleasure that in between 2 shows that you are seeing today, we are able to get you in and on the podcast. So thank you very much for coming in. What else are you going to do while you're here in town and in London?
We are right now on intermission from the Harry Potter play,
which is in 2 parts, which people might not realise. So there's you buy tickets to Harry Potter, and you have to buy 2 sets of tickets because it's in 2 parts. And in an ideal world, you see it on the same day. So you've seen part 1 this morning.
Yes.
And part 2 is tonight.
Part 2, 7:30.
Lovely. You're going to have some dinner now, and I'm going to go back to work. And
Okay.
story of my life. Thank you very much for joining us on the podcast.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much once again to Brian and Shari for coming in when they must have been massively jet-lagged. I had no idea what time it would have been in their body. I suppose UK time, which was about 5 p.m. on Tuesday, minus 8 hours. But thank you very much for coming in and sharing your stories and your wonderful Tesla tales with the people who listen to this show. Maybe we can feature you in a future listener takeover sometime in the future. In the meantime, your way of contributing to the podcast is with our question of the week, thanks to myev.com. Every week they set a brand new question. This week it's been it's a real controversial one at times, certainly a very passionate one this week. How can we solve the problem of people parking in charging bays? What do we do? Cars not plugged in, fossil cars in the way. Do we move the chargers? Do we impose fines? Let me know. You've got until Sunday, by the way. Tomorrow we'll read out all the answers and a brilliant new question I've just had on email from myev.com, from Nick over there. And so I can't wait to give you that one. But that'll be tomorrow's show. Thank you very much to 121 patrons for supporting us. Patreon.com/EVNewsDaily, patreon.com/EVNewsDaily if you would like to add your name to the list, which goes online every single day, of exec producers of the show. There are 312 previous episodes of this podcast to download for free from where you get your podcasts from. In the meantime, if you can leave a little rate or a review, it goes so far to really helping spread the word about the podcast. And find us on our socials, on LinkedIn, Facebook or Twitter by searching EV News Daily. Have a wonderful Saturday and I'll catch you tomorrow.